In this week's Parashat, we have the famous story of the 12 spies that were sent to give a report on whether the land of Israel is a good place or not, and the very bad result where 10 out of the 12 come back with a negative report, the Jewish nation crying and complaining, and then having them get stuck for another 39 years in the desert. A lot of questions arise regarding how things played out. One of the big questions that Chazal ask is that we see out of the 12 leaders, Moshe Rabbeinu picks one of them out, his name was Hoshea, adds him a letter to his name and prays for him. And the question arises, as the leader of everyone, the whole Jewish nation, why did Moshe Rabbeinu pick that specific one and only pray for him? There are many different commentators regarding this question. One of the main ones is the Arizal. He explains something extremely esoteric and deep. He says that in actuality, every single one of these 12 leaders, they received a gift before they went on their mission. They received a ibur neshama, which means a previous soul came into their body, which was supposed to assist them on their mission. And who did they receive? The head of the tribe. So Shevet Yehuda received Yehuda himself. Shevet Yosef received Yosef. The problem is that Yosef had two tribes, so he couldn't split up into two, and therefore he went to his eldest son. So Yehoshua, which came from Ephraim, did not have an extra soul to assist him. Moshe Rabbeinu saw this and prayed for him. Now, you would think that the odds are against him, but on the contrary, we see over here the power of tefillah, that he was one of the only people that succeeded in this mission, that came out a real winner, seeing the positive, seeing the good. And we see over here how powerful tefillah is. There's a famous story, one of the Admorim, he reached a woman's house, and she tells him, Rabbi, can you please give me a blessing? I want a son. The rabbi tells her, for such a blessing, it would cost $5,000. Now, this is a weird thing that a rabbi can ask for money for a blessing. She scratches her head, but she says, you know what, if the rabbi says, I'll try my best. And she works day in, day out, trying to raise that money. She reaches the rabbi after 2 or 3 months with $3,000. The rabbi says, I told you $5,000. She gets frustrated, says to herself, you know what, I don't need you. I'm going to go pray to God and I'm going to have a son. The rabbi tells his students, just so you know, now she's going to have a son. That's the prayer that God is waiting for. The Baal Shem Tov also teaches us a famous story that one time he reached a certain house. There was a poor woman, and he told his students, tell her that the rabbi is hungry. She said, I only have food for my husband. I'm sorry, I have one meal. He's going to be coming home from work a little bit late. This is for him. The rabbi pushes a little bit more. You know, the rabbi didn't eat all day, the students say. She says, okay, you know what, I'll give it to you. Then the rabbi says, I'm tired. I only have one bed. The rabbi convinces her, he ends up going to sleep there. The husband comes home after a long day of work, and he sees that there's no food, he has no place to sleep because the rabbi is sleeping there, and he's tremendously bothered. He's telling to himself, how could it be that I have such a bad situation that even the simple things that I have, I can't even access? And he prays to God, have mercy on me. 1 year later, the Baal Shem Tov comes to this congregation, and he sees that guy became very rich. He asks him, what's your story? How did you become so rich? He says, once I used to sell wine. Then I went bankrupt. Didn't succeed in the wine business, and one day I get a knock on my door from a certain official. He comes and he says to me, I heard that you have wine, I want to taste some of your wine. I tell him I don't have any more wine, it's something I don't do anymore. He pushes in and he drinks from my one last barrel of wine that I had for me and my family, and he falls in love with the wine. He announces in the whole city that I have the best wine, and I get back into the business and become rich in no time. The Baal Shem Tov tells him, since you shared with me your story, I'll share with you what I saw 1 year ago. When I was in your house, I was looking in a spiritual perspective, and I understood that God had something in store for you, but you still haven't prayed properly for it, and I wanted to put you in a situation where you're going to really pray from the bottom of your heart. And once you prayed, it opened everything. David HaMelech in Tehillim says, Karov Hashem lekol korav. God is close to anyone that calls him, but on the condition, lekol asher yikaru be'emet. If you call him really, call him from the bottom of your heart.